Hello everybody and welcome back to the John Schofield Trust Podcast, a space for early career, aspiring and working journalists to get advice and insights into the industry. I'm your host, Bethany Lee, a 2024 Fellow of the Trust and an early career journalist, and we're here today at the John Schofield Trust annual reception. This is basically a chance for new fellows to come, meet fellows, meet mentors, network, do all the things. It's also a chance for me to get some more podcast content. So I'm going to be asking our attendees what's one thing they wish they knew about the industry before they started. Let's see what they say.
I'm Holly Jones. I'm Deputy Managing Editor of LBC News and Global's Newsroom, and I am also a Senior Fellow of the John Schofield Trust. And what I would love to have known when I started out in the industry was, don't worry if you don't get your dream job straight away. Your career will take you on many different paths, and that's okay. Take all the opportunities. And I took a different path than maybe I thought I was going to, but I still ended up where I wanted to be.
Hi, my name is Nikita. I'm the breaking news reporter for NewsQuest. I cover South and West Wales, and the one thing I would wish that I knew before I joined the industry was the legal stuff, and that you can get sued at every story, around every story you do. And it's really, really important to get all your legalities, right to reply, everything straight before you publish anything.
Hi, I'm Gina Ling. I'm a music journalist for the 45, and one thing that I wish I knew about the industry is just how friendly everyone is. It's made out to be this really competitive, daunting industry, but really everyone's lovely, and we all need to give it more of a community vibe, I think.
I'm Vincent McAviney. I'm a correspondent. I was a mentee and now I'm a mentor. I think my best advice is, if you're bidding for guests, don't just email, don't DM, pick up a phone, call people. Keep the numbers, contact details of everyone that you ever interview, or the case studies, because you never know when you might need to go back to them. And it is a really exciting industry. You'll have times in your career where it's incredibly exciting, and there's times when the news is maybe a bit flat. Make sure you don't overwork yourself. Make sure you switch off from the news when you take leave. And enjoy it, because you get genuine money can't buy experiences, meet fascinating people, but just make sure you take time to look after yourself, and when you are switched on, don't be afraid to put yourself forward.
I'm Laura Gerla. I'm a senior field producer at Al Jazeera, and I think one of the things I wish I'd known is how important interpersonal skills are, and how important it is to get along with people. I think it's one of the key key personality traits in this industry, and also never take no for an answer.
Hi, my name's Nina Dos Santos, and I've been an anchorwoman for about 20 years, most recently at CNN, but I've also presented for other US networks as well. I think when I first started out in journalism, there's one or maybe two things that are linked that I wish I knew. And the first thing is that you can't know everything, and that's okay. And that even though we work in a very fast-paced environment in the news industry, sometimes it's okay to ask for an extra 5 minutes just to read in, to make sure you're absolutely clear and confident about what you're going to say. So those are the two big tips I have.
I'm Aisha Tull. I am a correspondent and presenter at Channel 4 News. And the one thing I wish I knew about the industry before I joined it was how challenging it can be when you get negative feedback from people. It can be really, really tough. And I think when I first started out, I was just this young, idealistic person that just thought everything I did would be amazing, nothing would be criticised. It was really, really naive. I just thought that, you know, if I am kind of exposing a wrong, that most people would just be like, yeah, you're great, you're amazing. Unfortunately, even when you do good work, sometimes you do get really negative feedback, and especially on social media, it can be really tough. So one of the things I would say is you'll learn to develop a thick skin, and you'll have to shrug some things off, and also never ever read the comments. Just don't. It's not worth it. Life's too short. What I do is go and have a walk with my dog. I'll just cook, I'll do something to unwind, take myself off social media. And that's one thing that I wish I was told back in the day. So make sure that you do it.
Christian Porter, CEO of the Public Media Alliance. The thing I wish I knew going into this profession, I think I wish I had a roadmap of the complexity of the newsroom, the different layers of news organizations, just knowing where to turn. But at the same time, I wish I also understood the level of solidarity there is in the newsroom and the confidence that you can have and the support you'll have there. And I think that's something to really consider. You're all in this together, and especially now, that's more important than ever.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, and I'm a podcast producer for the BBC World Service. And if I could give one piece of advice to anyone starting out in journalism, it would be try and get face-to-face time with the people that you really admire as much as possible. If you want to get advice on how to kind of take the step forward in your career, try and meet them face-to-face. Sometimes it's great to email, but meeting them face-to-face, they can make sure that they remember you and that you can kind of build connections, and you never know what that might lead to in the future.
My name is Micah. I'm a professional sports photographer and a mentor at the John Schofield Trust. And one thing that I wished I knew about the industry before I joined it was that I suppose you're expected a lot to work for free when you're kind of climbing that ladder. And I suppose a lot of it is just kind of juggling what to do, maybe unpaid, that's actually going to benefit you, and what people are going to say we have no budget for that simply just doesn't benefit you and kind of benefits those people. So it's kind of about building up the things you do for exposure and your paid work to then get to a position where all you do is work that's meaningful to you. And I think that's the main thing.
Hello, so I'm Nick Phipps. I'm an editor at Sky News, and I'm also one of the trustees of the John Schofield Trust. So the industry has changed a lot since I started out in it, but there's one thing I think that still absolutely holds true from 30 years ago to today. And that's the thing to remember, that careers and advancement don't go in straight lines. Many, many successful careers wend in weird and wonderful, bending, winding roads until you get to a destination that perhaps you were always destined to get to, or perhaps it's just a coincidence because of the way that you went along. But it's remembering that, it's good to have that long-term vision, but actually take opportunities. Don't be scared to move sideways. Don't be scared to do something that feels a bit weird or a bit of a risk, because in the end, that winding road will advance your career.
Hi, I'm Rose. I work at LBC. My advice would be everyone in this room feels exactly like you do. If you feel out of place, there's a good chance other people are feeling like that too. Talk to everyone. Take every call. Take every email. This is a good community.
Hello, my name's Jacob Evans. I'm a journalist at the BBC World Service. And one thing I wish I knew before I started was that your networking doesn't end once you're in. Once you're in, you have to keep talking to all your peers, all the people in the industry you work at, getting those coffees, meeting those people, trying to navigate and get to where you have to get to. Because as much as it is about, how good you are and what you know, it really is about who you know in there and what they think of you. And I think that's really something I wish I knew before I started.
Hi, my name's Danielle, and I'm a freelance journalist from Cornwall. One thing that I wish I knew before I started out in journalism was that there are loads of young people in the same boat. So when you come to events like this at the John Schofield Trust, you meet other people who are also being rejected on job applications, trying really hard to get work experience or placements, whether that's paid or unpaid, which is a whole nother debate. But hearing other people's stories help you feel like you're not alone in the industry, and then also you can cheer each other on. So when someone does get that placement and does get that job, it's really inspiring because that's one of your peers, and it's not someone with 20 years more experience than you. It's someone that you've watched go through the same processes. So one thing that I wish I knew beforehand was that there is a community of young journalists trying to make it all over the UK.
Hi, my name's Jason Hansbow and I'm a producer at Channel 4 News. One thing that I wish I knew about the industry before I started is how ever-changing it was going to be. I feel like resilience is so important in this industry where AI and constantly changing geopolitics, social media has become such a big part of it now. And I think it's really important for young journalists to know to be resilient, to be constantly learning and adapting, because I think it's a really changing time for us all, and it's important to take care of yourself and be resilient as well.
Hi, I'm Abdullahi Mohammed and I'm a mentee on the John Schofield Trust for this year, 2024-2025. And I've just started a position as a junior researcher at the Jeremy Vine Show. Very exciting. I'm currently doing my training. And I would say one thing I wish I knew before starting the industry or getting into the industry would probably be being resilient and trying to stay in touch with people and bothering people as much as possible in the most professional way. because journalism's always all about connections, I think, and keeping those connections as close to you as possible. And that's all we've been talking about this evening. So, yeah.
I'm Luke Williams. I'm a freelance sports photographer, and I would say the one thing I wish I knew is if you don't ask, you don't get. Just putting yourself out there and not really being afraid of messaging people and getting rejected.
Hi, I'm Indigo Stafford, an entertainment journalist and a mentor. So my answer would be is that it's very normal in this industry to sometimes take a step back the way to go forward again. Journalism is an incredibly competitive and complex career. You're going to have highs and lows. We see all the time that there's money being put into one area of journalism. Maybe radio's the big thing at the time, then it switches over to TV, then it switches back to social media. So be willing to have a career where sometimes you might end up in a career where it maybe wasn't where you thought you would be, or maybe you almost feel like you've taken a step back the way. What I can say is that's very rarely the case. There's always a way that you can get back to the journey that you originally wanted to be on, and you're going to pick up some amazing additional skills along the way, and you never know when you're going to have to use them. I've had times, I predominantly do entertainment, I've had times where I've had to step back into general news for a bit, and then I've ended up meeting someone there, a contact, or learning a skill that's then made me able to progress my entertainment career even more when I get back on track. But be willing to be open to different opportunities, and it's a roller coaster, but it's a fabulous one. And as long as you keep going and you're determined and you keep meeting people and you keep putting yourself out there and you keep trying to learn and absorb as many skills as you can, you will always end up where you want to be eventually.
I'm Gordon Cree, senior reporter from STV News. The thing I wish I had known before I got into the industry was quite a simple idea, really, that you don't know what you don't know. Often you might have questions about things and you're afraid to ask someone about it because you think it's a stupid question, or they think that they might think less of you for asking it. But the only way to find out things is by asking. So I would encourage you to ask as many questions as possible. It's only a stupid question once you know the answer. So be curious, ask questions, and that's how you learn.
Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm a local reporter with BBC South, and I'd say one thing I'd like to have known before I started was not to call yourself an aspiring journalist. Just call yourself a journalist, and eventually people will believe you.
Thank you for tuning in to the John Schofield Trust podcast. For more episodes, make sure to follow us. Or if you want to know more about the Trust, head to www.johnscofieldtrust.org.uk and follow us on Instagram @JohnSchofieldTrust. See you next time.